Hi, I'm Sean,
I'm Alex.
and we're the Homeward Bound group.
Yes, we are, and we're part of Advisors Living Real Estate, and we work out of the Andover office in Massachusetts.
And today we're going to be talking to you a little bit about real estate, the real estate market, which is what we mostly talk about because we're real estate agents.
Yeah, and today we're specifically going to be talking about home buyers and what the market looks like and how difficult it is for a home buyer to get into a home right now. And it's a little difficult compared to the years past.
We've had some up and down years. It has been tougher for buyers the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 years. But there have been small windows inside there where it's not been too difficult, but right now it seems to be as hard as it's ever been.
Yeah, and let's maybe talk about a few of the factors that are making it difficult for home buyers to get into homes right now. I mean, one of the things is really, really low inventory. It continues to be very low inventory, especially in our area here in Northeastern Massachusetts. Although it's been picking up a little bit the last few weeks because it is spring. So we're definitely seeing more homes come on the market, but that's one problem. Another problem was the real sharp rise in mortgage rates. So that's prevented a lot of homeowners from moving out of their homes because they would have to get into a very high interest rate, comparatively speaking, to what they're in right now. And it's made it difficult for home buyers as well because they have to pay a much higher interest rate.
Yeah, and that rate popped, what was it, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. It went from being in the 3s up into the high 6s and 7s, and it's stayed there. And we see no relief, and there's no relief that's supposed to be coming.
Well, not never.
Not
just
never, but not in the near future.
In the foreseeable future.
I mean, if anybody's been paying attention to the Fed, a year ago they were saying we'll do 5 rate cuts in 2024. Then it was 4, then it was 3, then it was 2. We're down to 1 maybe. And yeah. I've been watching, because I'm a dork, I've been watching a lot of finance guys and people who are specifically paying attention to the Fed and the rates. And most of them are starting to think that we're going to be stuck in the mid to high 6s, even into the 7s, all through 2024 and maybe third quarter of 2025 before we start to see any relief, at least as far as the mortgage rates go. You might see relief somewhere else, but as far as mortgage rates go, we're not going to be seeing much of a change.
Yeah, so it has been a very competitive market for buyers, and we've had a lot of buyers who have put in bids on a lot of different homes and have unfortunately missed out. So let's talk about a few things that buyers can do to put themselves in a more competitive situation and what we recommend not doing.
Well, the main thing I recommend not doing is getting outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
We are seeing buyers who are getting beat by people who are putting in what I would call wild offers. I'm still seeing somebody who's waiving home inspection, waiving appraisal, going 10, 15% over market value sometimes.
Sometimes 50 to 100,000 over asking price.
Yeah, which puts a lot of pressure, especially on buyers who are, they're getting their first home. They're not putting down 25, 35, 45%. They're 5% down, 10% down. And even if they can pay $20,000, $30,000 over market, they're taking a significant risk doing that because if the market shifts, and it does shift suddenly.
And you never know when it's going to happen. It could be tomorrow. It could be the day after you buy your house.
Yeah. I mean, you could look back 6 months and go, oh, look, that's when the market shifted. But if you've put 10, 20% over market value on a house, or even just 20 grand over market value on the house, and the market shifts.
Prices drop,
even just 5% or 4%, but you're right there at that cusp, and now, let's say it was a husband and wife situation, and one of them lost their job, and they're like, we need to refinance the house, the rates dropped, you can't refinance.
Because you're upside down. Because
you're upside down your mortgage.
You owe more.
So you have to stay within your comfort zone, and if you're comfortable taking that risk, hey, more power to you. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not even going to advise you against doing it. I'm just going to let you know what the risks are.
Yeah, it's good to, I think, take a step back when you are a buyer in today's market and realize that, yes, it's a very competitive market, but there's a line that I'm not going to cross. And if you, for example, really are not comfortable giving up a home inspection, especially on a much older house, then don't. Do a home inspection. You have to be comfortable with the house that you buy. You don't want to buy a house and then regret it and not be able to sell it because values have dropped or interest rates didn't actually go down, so you can't refinance.
Now, even if you're doing the home inspection, there are things you can do that can still make the home inspection competitive. We just had a client, he put a cap on the home inspection saying, no repairs under a certain number. So basically he was saying, saying, look, I'm not there to find ticky-tacky
Nickel and
stuff.
dime.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the foundation, the heating system,
If
the
something
roof.
huge comes up,
Yeah.
then that would kick in.
Yeah, what did he cap it at?
7,500, I think.
Yeah, I think so. He was 7,500, and he excluded the furnace because we knew the furnace was older. We knew it was at least 25, 35 years old. So the home inspector was going to go, this furnace has reached its life expectancy. So he wanted he wanted the seller to know, I'm not worried about the furnace. I know you just fixed it. I know it's operational, and I know I'm probably going to have to replace it in 2 to 3 years.
And I'm not worried about little things.
Yeah.
So basically what that meant was that they were willing to cover anything that did come up in the home inspection up to $7,500.
Yeah.
If anything major came up over that amount, then they would start negotiating with the seller.
Yeah, and so we were doing a radon inspection, and they knew we were doing a radon inspection, but they weren't worried because a radon mitigation system, they start around $1,200, $1,500. A really expensive one might be $3,500, and I'm sure you could probably find one for $7,500, but it's not likely, so they weren't worried about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing you can do is to cover an appraisal gap.
Especially if you're at that lower down payment, 5%, 10%, saying, hey, look, I've got an extra 10, 15 grand. If the appraisal misses by a little bit, because I know I've overpaid just a little bit potentially to the market, or the market's here, but the appraisers are anywhere from 3 months to 6 months behind sometimes. So you're paying market value, but the house might still not appraise by saying, hey, I've got that extra 10 grand or 15 grand.
So basically what that means and how that would look in an offer is I'm willing as the buyer to cover an appraisal gap of up to, let's say, $10,000.
Yeah.
So that means that if the house doesn't appraise at the sales price, and let's say it misses by 15 grand, you're covering the 10 grand.
Yep. And then the seller understands that, okay, there's that extra 5 grand in there. We're going to have to do a renegotiation potentially. And if they've got a good agent, their agent's going to say, hey, look, the market value is 500. They're paying 505. The appraisal's probably going to miss by 5 grand. They're saying they'll cover 10. But if we're doing a $10,000 appraisal gap and the agent is going to tell them, hey, look, they're $45,000 over market. So even though they're doing a $10,000 appraisal gap, it's going to miss by potentially $40,000. So make sure when you're still putting the offer in, everything is in line and competitive.
Yeah, and it's not a good idea to put in an offer for way over market value because it's most likely not going to appraise.
Yeah.
And then even if you cover an appraisal gap of 10,000, that might not be enough to cover that. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. I would just caution people as far as the purchase price. Don't go wildly over, even in this competitive market. You can go over a little bit over market value, but you don't want to go way over market value because, again, like we said before, you might be upside down on your mortgage from day one, and it's not a good place to be, especially if home values are going to drop.
And stay within your budget. We just had a client, they hit a max number, we're not going above this, they didn't get the house. And 48 hours later, the agent called us back up and said, hey, the other party, the husband and wife, they pulled out. They were having a disagreement about the property, so we were the next highest offer. He stayed within his budget. He ended up getting the house.
And he overpaid a little bit, but he didn't go way over.
Yeah, we're talking.
Asking price.
We're talking, 5 grand, 10 grand over, say market value at a max. So he's well within the range of where he needs to be.
Yeah. The worst thing you can do is pay way over asking, not do a home inspection, waive appraisal, and then wake up the next morning after you close and regret it. It's just not a good place to be.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few homes that were sold 2 years ago and they've relisted again now, and I know that they were relisted not because they're flips, but because the people who bought it aren't happy with the house. They didn't love the house, they overpaid for it a little bit, now they're trying to get out of it and get into something else. You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, you sometimes get caught up in that competitive situation where you know ahead of time, oh, there's 10 other offers. Oh, I really want this house. Well, do you really want the house or do you just want to win? Yeah. Because there's a big difference between those two, and you don't want to get in over your head.
So be patient. You're going to find your house, and the market can shift a little bit from day to day. You might just have a week where you're one of only 2 offers, you're the only offer on the property. So keep looking for that house.
Yeah, don't get discouraged. We've had a few buyers last year, which was even a more challenging market, I think, in some respects, who put in offers on houses and they didn't have any competition. So you never know. Sometimes it's like it's a random house that for whatever reason doesn't get as much interest, and you might end up getting the house, or the market will turn the week that you're putting in an offer. There's not going to be as many buyers and you end up getting the house. So definitely don't get discouraged. This is definitely a market for
a patient buyer?
For a very patient buyer, yeah. You can't get discouraged, can't get disheartened if your offer doesn't get accepted. Keep going out there, keep looking at properties, and you'll eventually buy a house. Happy searching.
Happy searching.
And let us know if you have any questions about the market. We're always happy to talk about real estate, no strings attached. The number is on the screen, so give us a ring if you're in the market for a house or if you're just wondering about the real estate market in general.
All right, looking forward to talking to you.
We'll talk to you in the next video.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.